It's about 8:30 in the morning on Wednesday, August 16th, 2023. We're moving the cows to the back 20 again. There just looks like there's plenty of good grass. There's the sheep. Yeah, we're gonna try to keep the sheep out.
Oh, there's one sheep.
Woo!
You want to count them as they go?
One. I'll count them. You take the sheep. Two. Come on, Red. Come on. Go.
The cows are in pretty good condition.
Oh, they're fat.
They are fat. This is halfway through August.
That's good news.
Normally they thin up about now. JJ, go chase the sheep away from here. Lots of flies on that bull. Hold on, that calf is lost. Nope. You get out of here. Oh, there he goes. I'll let the ram go through, I guess. There you go, JJ. He's chasing the sheep away from the gate.
Hey, get out of that. 25, 26. Oh, look at your horn. Come on, 27. Come on, let's go. Oh, no.
Blacky's having second thoughts. All right, I'm gonna film on this side. Go ahead and close it up behind me. So it's been 21 days since we've been back here. And I think last time we were here 2 weeks or something like that. So this is what it looks like. There's about 20 acres back here. A lot of it's wooded. Probably see about a third of it is wooded. This grass is looking really good. Look at that. And they've got access to natural ponds. Now someone might be mad. Look at the grass back here. Oh my goodness, this is good grass. This is just the northernmost part of that back 20. So I used to try to rotationally graze this, like move the cows every day type thing. The issue is running the wire through the trees is just way too much work. And there's a lot of brush between the trees and it just takes way more time than I think it's worth. So I'm using this as kind of like a, look at this grass. Okay. So the grass itself, the leaves of the grass are up at least 2 feet here. And the stems of the grass are up to my waist. So that's about 3 or 4 feet, 3.5 feet, something like that. So we had really good spring growth here. And now we're getting some nice summer growth. So I'm gonna leave them back here probably for a week and give my land a little longer chance to rest and grow and recover. So some of you guys might be new to my channel, new to this kind of content. The magical YouTube algorithm works in mysterious ways. And in order to feed the algorithm, I'd ask that you click that like button, subscribe. This is the first time I'm saying this on my channel, by the way. I'm almost to the point where I can start monetizing my content. That just means I put ads on it and I get some of the money. Originally I started this, and I think I'll keep doing this to just document the changes throughout the seasons of the fields and the cows, as well as to kind of see what effects my grazing techniques have on the animals. Lately in the news, there's been two news items that I think about a lot. One of those items is the fake meat industry, and there's two types of fake meat out there. One is they call it vegetable based, and the other one is lab grown. And both sound like neat little ideas from the future. In the case of the vegetable meat, they grow veggies and different things, and then change it so that it tastes like meat and has similar nutrients to meat. And in the case of lab-grown meat, they take animal cells and they cultivate it, and they serve that as meat. In both cases, one of the technologies you can use is like 3D printing, where you create a product that looks like meat by using various ingredients or pigments, and you can somewhat simulate the texture of meat. And so I'm a big fan of sci-fi. I think sci-fi is pretty neat. There's kind of two genres. One is kind of the fantasy sci-fi, and the other is the high sci-fi. High sci-fi is where they actually take scientifically possible concepts and they explore what kind of impact that would have on humanity. Those are the universes where you can't travel faster than the speed of light, so you have to, put people to sleep, or you have to have colony ships, and where you can't surpass the laws of physics and all that kind of stuff. Foundation series by Isaac Asimov. Isaac Asimov wrote a lot of high sci-fi, and his stuff is pretty good. I really enjoyed reading that when I was in high school, in junior high school. The Foundation series is pretty cool. I didn't like the later books in the Foundation series, but the first couple of books are pretty neat. And it's a neat concept, the idea that you can guide, or at the very least predict what human society will do given sufficiently large numbers. Somewhat similar to what happens in thermodynamics when you can predict the macro variables of a system without even understanding what the micro variables are doing, and vice versa, right? And the key there is, though, that science, I think maybe I should start here about what science actually is. There's been so much confusion about this word lately, especially when people say things like trust the science. And to me, that's an oxymoron. Oxymoron is something that's like the opposite. Like military intelligence, right? If you want to be smart, you don't join the military. And the way military does things shows a gross lack of intelligence, right? So military intelligence is like one of those oxymorons. So trust the science is a phrase that's oxymoronic, because what science is the process of understanding the world by first questioning what you've been told and what you believe, right? Science is the idea that maybe you're wrong about many things, or some things, many things, most things, if not everything. And given my educational background, I earned a bachelor's of science in physics in the year 2000. I am in the camp of we are wrong about everything. And I throw into that camp every single physical principle that I was taught in college. I am sure, 100% sure, that at some point we're going to understand why that concept was wrong or why it was childish. And to kind of illustrate what I mean by that. So we had Newtonian mechanics that predicted how particles would move of a certain mass and such and such and such with extremely high accuracy, right? And we've done multiple experiments confirming that Newtonian mechanics is indeed a description of how things behave in the universe. And then as the turn of the century happened, from the 19th to the 20th to 21st century, early 1900s, we uncovered some phenomena that contradicted Newtonian mechanics and caused us to, at the very least, accept the idea that Newtonian mechanics was not a complete or even accurate description of reality. That even though it worked in some cases, it didn't work for all cases. And as such, there were limitations to it that we didn't understand. And so we began a mad search of what actually was going on. And that's where we get things like quantum mechanics. And I know people like to think that quantum mechanics is true. I don't know what that would mean in a scientific context, but it is accurate for many things, but it is not accurate for everything. quantum mechanics itself has several problems, and there has been massive attempts by the brightest minds and using the most advanced techniques and everything else you can possibly imagine. Every possible technique that anybody has ever imagined for understanding how nature works has been used, and the result is that we don't know. And the prevailing theory nowadays, we call it quantum field theory, QFT. It's in particle physics, we have the basic particles like electrons, and we have the quarks, up, down, charm, strange, those things. But even then, there's a pattern to those things, and we would like to uncover a deeper understanding of where those particles themselves come from, rather than just assuming that they exist. In the case of the electron, despite all attempts to understand the nature of the electron in terms of its constituent parts, we have revealed that it is indeed a fundamental particle, meaning that the electron is made of electrons and nothing else, as far as we can tell. And that's where we're at. So that's kind of the state of the art with physics, is we are in this conundrum where we have some theories and they're pretty good, but we know that they're not accurate. We know that there's some things that are wrong with them. So science, what is science? It's questioning what you think you know, questioning what you've been told, saying that maybe we're wrong about some things, many things, most things, or even everything. And as I told you before talking about physics, I'm in the camp of we are wrong about everything, that there is nothing that we know for certain about nature, and that there are more mysteries to unfold. And the more you learn about nature, the more questions you have, and the less confident you are in the previous observations that you've made. And that's why highly educated scientists are much less hasty to tell you that they know anything. They will tell you about the experiments they've tried and the results they've seen and the theories that they have, but they are very reluctant to say things like I believe or I know when it comes to science. So that's part one. I'm sorry about this long lecture, but it's been 3 weeks since I made a video. So science, what is science? Science is the process of eliminating erroneous thought. It's based on the concept that, number one, the universe follows some sort of law. Number two, that humanity is capable of comprehending that law and using that law to predict what nature will do and how it will behave. The third concept is that we are able to somehow distinguish between what is a correct description of the universe and what is an incorrect description of the universe. That there's some way to discern truth from error or fact from fantasy. And the fourth part is that through the process of experimentation, we are able to test our theories, our ideas about the universe against the universe itself, and determine which ones of our ideas are wrong and in what way they're wrong. And that's basically science. It's a system of beliefs. It's a system of assumptions about the nature of the universe. It is for lack of a better word, a religious theory, a religious idea, where the gods of this religion are reality itself. And I can talk to you at length about how we came to the conclusion that this is the best set of ideas to have about the universe. In fact, I can even talk to you about some of the alternative ideas we had about the universe, and why those ideas are not sufficient to develop a highly advanced technological society like ours, right? Okay, so that's number one. Trust the science is stupid. So when it comes to the fake meats, I don't trust the science, and I won't trust the science. And science will have to surpass a limit of experimentation that is impossible in the lifetime of this universe before I do trust the science. What I do trust is that we don't really know what's going on inside of our bodies, that we don't really understand nutrition, and that the best we can do is just make a good guess for ourselves and our loved ones. And my assumption about what is best for ourselves and loved ones is to eat natural foods that occur in nature that we have eaten throughout history, and to avoid new foods that we have not eaten throughout history. That anytime somebody says, hey, I found this magical berry in the mountains of whatever, in the mountains of the Great Plains of the United States, right? Whatever, I found this new wonderful amazing miracle cure. My first reaction is like, well, if our ancestors didn't eat it, we probably shouldn't eat it either. Okay, and so I used to trust medical science. I used to think that they had at least some concept of what they were doing, but upon further inspection and recent events, I've now come to completely distrust medical science to the point where I should probably put this in writing or get a tattoo or something that says, do not resuscitate. If my heart stops, I do not want to go to a hospital. If I get cancer, I'm not going to a doctor. If I get a headache, I'm not going to take medicine. I'm going to try to treat my sicknesses and diseases the way my ancestors would. And if that results in my premature death, I'm fine with that. I don't think that trying to prolong your life for any other reason than prolonging your life is a valid, it's not a good idea, right? We should be living, using that life that we've been given rather than trying to get more of it. Does that make sense? There's certain activities and behaviors that are good that will shorten your lifespan, and we shouldn't avoid those behaviors within reason, of course. Looks like that. No, that's just a weed on that calf. So what I mean by that is we should take risks. We should live dangerously. We should expose ourselves to harmful substances. We shouldn't try to live a sanitary and pure life. And we shouldn't be focused on our lifespan as the primary goal. It is not our primary goal. Living, not lifespan. If that makes any sense. Okay, so when these people, they put together chemicals and things into new forms and say, oh, this is better than real meat, my response is to say you are insane and you're probably a threat to humanity itself. So whatever you want to call that philosophy. If you're proposing something new and you're not basing that new thing off of anything than some weird scientific idea you have about nature, you're insane. It should be based on some observations you've made in reality about how things work and what's best and things like that. Like for instance, if someone says, hey, we should attach these devices to all of our cows for no other reason to attach the devices to cows, then I'm against it. But if someone says, hey, if you attach this device to your cow, the grass grows better, the cows get fatter, and they're healthier, and they produce better tasting meat, then I might be more inclined to look at it. So what's the story for the fake meats? Why do we need fake meats? There's two justifications they have. One is global warming, which is absurd and ridiculous. And anybody using that as a justification for their technology, oh, look at that, there's clover. In the middle of August, there's clover growing in the back 20 here. Anybody using global warming as a justification for their behavior or technology is an idiot. Should be distrusted immediately, and their advice should be thrown out the window. So that alone right there is enough for me to disqualify any ideas about these artificial meats, these fake meats. If they say global warming, then I'm like, okay, I'm done. The other reason they might say is it's healthier for you. And the question I have is, how do you know it's healthier? Like, have you done human trials where you've experimented on humans with the effects of eating this kind of thing for long term? Maybe you say it's healthier for the environment. So, okay. So if we build these giant labs with these vats and these chemicals, we extract the resources we need to run these labs from the environment. That's somehow better for nature than what I'm doing right here. Remember, this is the baseline. I have cows virtually unmanaged. I'm not doing anything to these cows except moving them from time to time. They are eating grass, which grass has grown only because of the sunlight, the rainfall, and the nutrients that are already in the ground. So I would argue that this is the baseline. This is what they have to compare against. So you're telling me that if you build a giant building, kill all these cows, right? You got to kill all these cows because you're not going to use them anymore, right? So we get rid of these cows and we dig up this field and plant soybeans. That's going to be more natural and better for the environment. That's a hard sell for me. So there's really no reason I see to justify what they're doing. And the people who invest in this technology, either they are wasting their money or there is some kind of nefarious motive that they have for trying to get people to stop growing cows in environments like this, right? So that's thought number one was fake meats. Oh, also, I think the government should ban the word meat for anything other than animals that have been grown in their natural habitat and the flesh that has been taken from those animals. This should be a trademark or a industry-wide thing that if you're going to put the word meat on your package, it has to come from an animal that was raised like this, right? If the animal was grown in a lab, it's not meat. If the animal was grown in extreme circumstances, like in a cell where they've never once touched nature or had sunlight fall on their face, then that's probably shouldn't be called meat. So I'm even rejecting the manufactured chicken industry where they take chickens and lock them up in boxes and things like that. Okay, that's number one. Number two, global warming. They want to kill all the cows because of cow farts. I don't really understand that. And I ask you as my evidence to look at your screen and listen for cow farts. Maybe the cows aren't farting because they're accumulating those noxious global pathogen, the chemicals that are excreted through their anuses and gaseous expulsions are accumulating inside their bellies. I'm looking for the cow farts here. Hold on, maybe this cow over here is going to fart any moment now. Let's go watch this cow fart. Brownie, give me a fart. And 1, 2, 3, fart. Do you notice that these cows are not farting? I have yet to hear a single cow fart. At least when you're raising cows this way, they don't fart. Okay? Do they excrete manure? The answer to that question is absolutely yes. And what is the nature of that manure? Why? That is decomposing plant material. If I took this grass, let's just take this grass here, crunch it up, smash it, mash it, okay? Maybe put it in a pot of water, maybe just get it wet or something like that. Mix it with soil, it would naturally decompose, right? So let's put it back to the ground, kind of stomp it in the ground there. It's going to naturally decompose and return nutrients to the soil and bring additional life to the soil. Cow manure is made up 100% of the stuff that they ate. And look at what they're eating. They're eating plant matter. Whether or not I had cows in this field, the plant matter will turn back into soil through the process of decomposition. And I argue with you that because the cows are eating this grass, there's more of it. So in fact, the process of decomposition is happening at a larger scale. Now I ask you this, maybe what I'm doing is I'm taking petrochemicals and I'm bringing them into my field here and dumping diesel and gasoline and black tar and raw petroleum all over my field. No, I'm not. Where does the carbon come from that powers these plants? Where does it come from? Where does it all come from? Does it come from deep underground? Or maybe these plants have taproots that go down to oil reserves hidden deep below the surface here. No. These plants are taking carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. They're converting that carbon dioxide and water into sugar in a process called photosynthesis, which relies on sunlight as well. The plants are then consumed by either cows or something else, or they die. And through the process of decomposition, the plants are returned back to the soil, where more plants can grow and capture more carbon dioxide. Healthy soil has carbon inside of the soil. If you're concerned about carbon dioxide, I ask you, how much oil did I use to grow this grass here? It's an absurd question. Sunlight, water, air. That's all. It's taking the carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. And I argue with you that if we can increase the carbon dioxide levels of the atmosphere, then this world will be even greener, and we'll have even more animals and critters roaming around and living.
Look how pretty this path is.
That's my message for you guys. It's all a scam. They're trying to shut down this industry because this is true freedom, to rely solely upon sunlight and rainwater and everything else that God gives us, and produce the top, most nutritious foods that we know how to produce. And all just by walking around a few minutes a day. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.